So first, I would like to invite Dan Crittenden to come up and share his story.
Thank you.
I actually wrote it down this time, so instead of talking off the top of my head, which probably in my case is a good thing, because whatever comes off the top of my head is sometimes kind of bizarre. Okay. First, I want to thank Jennifer and all the people involved with Jennifer for organizing these important town hall meetings. When you meet other victims of distracted drivers, you understand exactly how important it is to get behind the Hands-Free Alabama effort. Distracted drivers have affected more people than we probably know and will affect many more. I've heard these people talk about that it is difficult, if not impossible in some cases, to determine whether the cause of the accident was a distraction by whoever was involved in the accident. But in my case, I had an honest person who actually admitted to the state trooper that they were distracted. Now, they didn't get into details, but at least they admitted they were distracted. Distracted drivers have affected, the problem is an epidemic, and it must be stopped. On April 29, 2015, I was stopped at a red light on Highway 280 at the intersection of Highway 119. You know anything about 280 and that 119 intersection, you know it's a crowded pretty much 24/7. The distracted driver behind me hit me at 55 miles per hour, never touched her brakes. She knocked me through the intersection. She admitted that she was distracted. She walked away with no injuries and no consequences. There were no citations written. My spine broke and protruded into my lungs. My spinal cord hyperextended. I was paralyzed from the chest down within minutes of the accident. I was aware of the feeling leaving my lower body. I underwent 3 surgeries: lung repair, rodding my spine, and placed on a ventilator. I spent 2.5 weeks in ICU. I developed pneumonia and a staph infection in my lungs. Once that cleared up, I was transferred to a long-term care facility to be weaned off the ventilator, and that took 5 weeks. Then I was an inpatient at Spain Rehab for a month. I spent a total of 3 months in hospitals. Once I came home from the hospital, I developed a pressure ulcer. Long story short, I had 5 surgeries for the pressure ulcer and had to be on bed rest for the better part of 41 months. I also developed, in fact, the only way I was ever able to get up was to go to the wound doctor, and that was the only time I was able to get out of the dang bed. I also developed a pressure ulcer on my heel. That was what used to be my right heel. That resulted in 3 surgeries and the amputation of my right leg. The reason it did is because I have no feeling from here down. And so when that pressure ulcer developed, I had a blockage behind my knee that was keeping blood flow, so it didn't heal. All of this is subsequent to the original injury. I spent a long time with a surgeon and the wound doctor at Spain. By the way, just as an aside, Spain Rehab in Birmingham is an amazing place. UAB medicine in Birmingham is unbelievable. We are so fortunate to have a trauma center like that within a distance that's pretty easy for anybody in Alabama to access. The accident affected our entire family. My wife had to take unpaid family medical leave when I went home from the hospital. She also had to have a flexible work schedule even when she was able to go back. Several different family members took turns living with us for the next 3 years. Someone had to stay with me while my wife worked. I couldn't be left alone at home in the bed, fire or whatever. Hired caregivers cost $3,000 a month, a cost we obviously couldn't afford. Ultimately, my wife retired early to be my unpaid caregiver. And Lord, unpaid is an understatement. This has taken an economic toll on our household and on our insurance carriers. The lady was underinsured. She hardly had enough to cover a tenth of what the cost of this accident was. So we had to rely on our car insurance to cover underinsured motorists. So expenses between us and our insurance that's how we pay for all this. This has been distracted driving accidents go so much farther than the initial accident, and resulting injuries or deaths. It breaks my heart to know of people who no longer have loved ones that they can live and be happy with because somebody was zoned out on a YouTube video. That's ridiculous. It affects families for years. If Hands-Free Alabama saves one family from going through this, it would be well worth it. Your family lives may be the ones that are saved.